Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are tackling a monster. And I really don't mean that lightly.
No, this is a big one.
We're pulling apart a specific book, a set of ideas that has probably started more arguments at family dinner tables than, I don't know, politics or religion combined.
Oh, easily.
We are looking at the mechanics of wealth,
Yeah.
but through the lens of Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
It is a classic. It absolutely is. But it's also, one of those really polarizing documents where people think they know what it's about, but they almost always get it wrong.
Right.
They think it's just a manual on how to flip houses or, a get-rich-quick guide for real estate.
Exactly. Or they dismiss it as just some motivational poster in book form. But when you actually peel back the layers, and that's really our mission today, it's a pretty ruthless dismantling of the way most high achievers live their lives. It's actually less about real estate and much more about accounting and, well, psychology.
It's a strategic attack. That's what it is. It's an attack on the high income equals wealth fallacy. And that is a fallacy that traps some of the absolute smartest people in the economy.
That's the core of it right there.
Yeah.
So before we get into the diagrams and the tax strategies, I want to paint a picture. I want to introduce you to a very specific person. Let's call him the golden hamster.
The golden hamster. I like that. That's very vivid.
So imagine a guy. He's maybe 45 years old, could be a specialized surgeon or a VP at a big tech firm, maybe a partner at a law firm.
Right, a high earner.
A very high earner. He's making, let's say, $250,000, maybe $350,000 a year. He drives a brand new Audi Q7. He lives in the right zip code, the one with the leafy streets and the big setbacks.
It's the whole package.
His kids go to the private school with the little Latin crest on the blazer.
So on paper, this guy is winning. I mean, if you looked at his LinkedIn profile, his credit score, he is the American success story.
On paper, he is the dream. The banks absolutely love him. He has excellent credit.
Yeah.
But, and this is the key, here's the reality. He is absolutely terrified.
Because he has no survivability.
Zero. None. If he stops working today, if he breaks his hand and can't perform surgery, or there's a merger and his role gets eliminated, or he just burns out and can't get out of bed, how long does he actually last?
With that mortgage, the car leases, the tuition, the club memberships, I'd say 90 days, maybe less.
Exactly. He is insolvent in 90 days.
And that tension right there, that massive gap between looking rich and being wealthy, that is precisely what we are here to expose today.
Yes.
The golden hamster is living the poor dad philosophy, even though he's earning a rich salary. He is technically successful, but he's structurally fragile.
Which brings us to the first major pivot we really need to make. We have to completely redefine the objective. Because the source material, it argues that most of us are just chasing the wrong metric. We're obsessed with net worth or a high salary.
Right. We treat the salary as the scoreboard. That's the game we think we're playing. But Kiyosaki, in the source material, he references R. Buckminster Fuller to define wealth. And Fuller was, a genius. He didn't think in terms of dollars, he thought in systems.
This blew my mind the first time I really absorbed it. Buckminster Fuller said, wealth isn't money. Wealth is measured in time.
It's a ratio. That's all it is. The definition of wealth is, if I stopped working today, how many days could I survive? It's a measure of survivability, not luxury.
So let's just do the math on that for a second. If I have, say, $10,000 in savings and my monthly expenses are $5,000, my wealth isn't $10,000. My wealth is 2 months.
Precisely. You are 2 months wealthy, and you could have $1 million in net worth, but if it's all tied up in your primary residence, your cars, and your furniture things you can't eat and that don't pay you, and you have zero cash flow coming in, your survivability might still be remarkably low.
Wow. That is a scary thought. You can literally be a millionaire on paper and be poor in terms of time.
That is the asset trap. That's the whole thing. Net worth is so often a vanity metric. It feels good, at a cocktail party to say, oh, I'm worth $2 million. But wealth, true wealth, as defined by the rich dad, is cash flow. It's having money come into your pocket without you having to trade your hours for it.
So the mission of this deep dive, it isn't to teach you how to make a quick buck. It's to really look at why so many smart, high-earning professionals, people who, followed all the rules, got the degrees, got the promotions, end up on that hamster wheel. We're going to look at the 3 big missteps that cause this, and then we're going to walk through the financial mindset stack to solve it.
And we are going to get into the friction of it, too, because as an operator, I know it's really easy to sit here and say, buy assets, but it's incredibly hard to actually do it when you've got a mortgage and tuition to pay, and the check engine light just came on in the Audi.
Yeah. That's the reality. Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with section 1. Why the model fails. Kiyosaki outlines 3 repeated missteps that keep the poor dad trapped. And we have to remember, the poor dad in the book, he wasn't unemployed.
No, not at all. He was a PhD.
He was highly educated, held a government post, made good money, but he was broke.
Misstep number 1 is the big one. It's the controversy. It's the definition of an asset versus a liability. And this is where bankers and accountants, they usually start yelling at the book.
Right, because if you go to a bank to get a loan, they ask for a balance sheet. And on that balance sheet, they'll list your house, your car, your golf clubs, your fancy watch. They list all of those as assets.
Of course they do, because to a banker, an asset is just something with a cash value that can be liquidated to pay them back. It's collateral.
Ah, okay.
If you default, they can take your house and sell it. So to them, it's an asset. But Kiyosaki argues that definition is incredibly dangerous for an individual who actually wants to be wealthy.
He simplifies it, like brutally. He just strips away all the accounting jargon.
He does, and this is the core of it, he says. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket.
That's it. Full stop. No nuance about depreciation schedules or, market value appreciation.
Yeah.
Just which way's the cash flowing.
The direction of cash flow is the only thing that matters. Does it feed you or do you feed it? And this, of course, leads to the single biggest trap for the middle class: the personal residence.
Oh boy, the house. We are all raised to believe that buying the biggest house we can possibly afford is the smartest financial move we can ever make.
It's the American dream.
It's the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
But Kiyosaki comes along and says, your house is not an asset.
It's a liability, and if you just use his definition, does it put money in your pocket or take it out? It's really hard to argue with him. You've got the mortgage payment, you've got property taxes.
Insurance. Maintenance.
The roof leaks, the boiler breaks, the lawn needs mowing every single week. Exactly. And even if the house is fully paid off, let's say you own it free and clear, no mortgage, you still have taxes, insurance, and maintenance. It is a constant cash strain. It sits squarely in the liability column because it consumes capital every single month. It never, ever puts a check in your mailbox. You are always putting a check in its mailbox.
But wait, I can hear the listener screaming right now, but it goes up in value. It appreciates. My parents bought their house for $50,000 and sold it for $500,000.
And that is where the trap snaps shut. Because while you're waiting 30 years for it to theoretically appreciate, it is keeping you poor by draining your cash flow every single month.
Your house rich and cash poor.
Exactly. You are banking on a capital gain event that might happen 2 decades from now, while you are bleeding cash for 2 decades to keep it.
And what's worse is that people often buy a bigger house as soon as they get a raise.
Right. They think they're acquiring a bigger asset. Oh, I'm investing in my future. But in this framework, they're just digging a deeper hole. They're increasing the monthly outflow of cash. A bigger house just means higher taxes, higher heating bills, higher insurance.
So to be really clear here, we're not saying don't own a home.
No, not at all. You need a place to live. Stability is good.
Yeah.
But you have to stop lying to yourself that it's an investment. Call it what it is. A consumption item. It's a luxury, a liability. If you want a bigger house, that's fine. But don't count it as the thing that's going to make you rich. It's the thing you get to buy because you are rich.
That's a perfect transition to misstep number 2. And this is all about where your eyes are focused. The poor dad focuses entirely on the income statement.
The salary, the paycheck, the gross annual income, that's the big number.
But the rich dad focuses entirely on the balance sheet.
And this is a subtle but absolutely profound shift in thinking. When you ask a typical employee how they're doing financially, what do they talk about? Their income. I make $100K, or I just got a 5% raise. That's their metric for success.
Right. It's what we brag about. It's what's on the mortgage application.
But if you ask a truly wealthy person, they talk about their assets. I own a rental portfolio, or I have a stake in this business, or my bonds are performing well. The poor dad thinks the solution to all money problems is just more money, specifically a higher salary.
But we know that doesn't work. We've seen it 1,000 times with lottery winners and pro athletes.
It just creates lifestyle creep. As your income goes up, your expenses rise to match it. You get the raise, you buy the new car, you get the promotion, you put the kids in the more expensive summer camp. You start drinking better wine.
Kiyosaki calls this the rat race mechanism. And he's clear, it's not just bad math, it's psychology.
It's driven by 2 very powerful emotions: fear and greed. This is the psychological loop. The fear of not having enough money is what drives you to get up and go to work every morning.
I've got to pay the bills, I have to make rent, that fear.
Right. That fear pushes you out the door. And then once that paycheck hits your account, the fear subsides for a moment and greed or, desire, it takes over. You think about all the cool things you can buy, a new TV, a vacation, a nice dinner, so you spend it.
And then, poof, the money is gone.
And the fear comes roaring back, so you go back to work, and that's the loop. Get up, go to work, pay bills. Get up, go to work, pay bills.
And the real tragedy is that high earners just run faster on the exact same wheel. They think a bigger paycheck will finally stop the fear, but it doesn't.
No, it just allows them to buy bigger liabilities, which actually increases the fear because now they have even more monthly obligations to service. If you lose your job making $50K, that's a problem. If you lose your job making $300K with $25,000 in monthly expenses, that is a catastrophe.
That's really depressing. But it perfectly explains why that lawyer we talked about, the golden hamster, is so terrified. He has built this beautiful life that requires a massive, constant injection of cash just to stay afloat.
Correct. He has high income, but he has equally high overhead. He's running a business, the business of his life, at a 0% profit margin.
Which leads directly to misstep number 3, giving away the power.
This is the structural problem. When you are an employee, you just have very little control over your financial destiny.
You give power to your employer, obviously. They decide if you even have a job tomorrow.
You give power to the bank because you're loaded up with debt on all these liabilities. But the biggest leak, the one Kiyosaki just harks on, is the government.
The tax bully concept.
It's all about the sequence of money. This is so critical to understand. If you're an employee, you operate in a very specific sequence. You earn, then you are immediately taxed, and then you get to spend whatever is left.
The government takes their bite first. You don't even see it. It's gone before the check even hits your account.
Exactly. You are working from January to May just to pay the government. You are essentially working for free for almost half the year. But a corporation, a business owner, they get a completely different legal sequence. They earn, they spend, and then they are taxed on what is left.
Wait, walk me through that again. The spending part is key.
If you own a business, you can expense things that are necessary for that business.
Yeah.
Your car lease, your travel, that dinner meeting, the new computer, your phone bill. You spend pre-tax dollars. The government only gets to tax the net profit, what's left over, after you've already invested in your growth and operations.
So the employee is trying to build wealth with, like, 60-cent dollars after tax, while the business owner is building wealth with 100-cent dollars.
Roughly, yes. And over a lifetime, that compound effect is just massive. The poor dad mindset accepts that tax bite as inevitable. Oh, taxes are just what you pay. The rich dad mindset actively uses corporate structures to protect capital.
Okay, so we've successfully depressed everyone. We're all on a hamster wheel, our house is eating our cash, and the government is taking 40% off the top.
It is pretty grim if you stay in that mindset. It feels hopeless.
So let's pivot. Let's talk about the solution. Section 2, the solve framework. Kiyosaki calls this the financial mindset stack. And the very first layer is this idea of mind your own business.
This is so often misunderstood. People hear, mind your own business, and they think he means, be private about your finances, or they think he means you have to quit your job and start a startup.
Right. But there's that great story in the source material about Ray Kroc, the McDonald's guy, that makes it so clear.
Yes. So Ray Kroc was speaking to a class of MBA students at the University of Texas. They're all having beers afterward, and he asks them, what business am I in?
And everyone just laughs, right? They're like, come on, Ray. You're in the hamburger business, obviously. You sell more burgers than anyone on the planet.
And Ray Kroc pauses for a second and says, no, my business is real estate.
That is such a powerful distinction.
It is. He explained that his profession was selling hamburger franchises. That was his day job, essentially. That's what paid the bills. But his business, the thing that was actually building his asset column, was acquiring the prime real estate under every single one of those franchises. He knew the franchisee would pay for the land.
So how does that apply to our listener, to that golden hamster surgeon?
You have to make a sharp distinction between your profession and your business. Your profession is what you do from 9 to 5. It's being a lawyer, a doctor, a marketer. That generates income. That pays the bills.
Okay, I'm with you.
But your business is your asset column. Your business is what you do with that income after you get it. Are you acting like the CFO of your own life?
So minding your own business just means taking the cash flow from your profession and deliberately funneling it into assets.
Exactly. You don't need to quit your job. In fact, for most people, you absolutely should keep your job. That's your funding source. That's your seed capital. But you have to pour every spare dollar you have into the asset column. Stocks, bonds, income-producing real estate, royalties, private notes, anything that generates cash flow.
I love the rule Kiyosaki has for this. He
Mhm.
says, once a dollar goes into the asset column, it becomes an employee.
Yes. And that dollar never leaves. It's a lifer. It stays there and it works for you 24/7. And eventually, that dollar creates more dollars.
It's like you're building an army. You send the dollars out to go capture more dollars and bring them back to base.
And unlike you, those dollar employees, they don't need sleep, they don't take vacations, and they never, ever get burned out. They work while you sleep. And that is the only way to break the direct correlation between your time and your money.
Okay, so that's layer one. Mind your own business. Focus on the asset column. Layer two is financial IQ. Kiyosaki is adamant that hard work doesn't solve money problems, intelligence does.
This is what helps explain that old saying, why A students often end up working for C students.
I always love that line. It feels, I don't know, vindicating for those of us who weren't valedictorians.
It's because the entire school system trains you to be a specialist. An A student is a great specialist, a great engineer, a great accountant, a great writer. They're masters of a craft.
But the rich student, the C student,
They're generalists. They don't need to be the smartest person in the room on any one topic. They just hire the specialists. But they need a base level of financial IQ to manage those specialists effectively. If you don't speak the language, the specialist will either rob you blind or just give you bad advice. And Kiyosaki breaks this IQ down into 4 pillars.
okay, let's run through them. Pillar number one, accounting.
This is just basic financial literacy. Can you read the numbers? Can you look at a balance sheet and understand what it's telling you? If you can't read the scorecard, you can't play the game. You have to know the difference between an asset and a liability, strictly by the numbers on a page. You need to be able to look at a P&L and see the story it tells.
Pillar two, investing.
This is the science of money making money. It's about strategies, it's understanding creativity, how do you structure a deal. It's knowing that you can make money in up markets and in down markets if you understand the mechanics of finance.
Pillar three,
Mhm.
markets.
Pure supply and demand.
Oh.
You can have a great product or a fantastic building, but if the market doesn't want it right now, it's worthless. You have to understand the technical side. Is the market trending up or down? And the fundamental side, is this thing actually valuable? It's all about timing and sentiment.
And the last one, pillar four, the law.
This goes right back to that tax bully. It's understanding tax advantages, corporate protections, things like that. If you're ignorant of the law, it is very expensive. If you know the law, you can use it to your advantage. It's about knowing the rules of the game so you don't get penalized unnecessarily.
So the solve isn't just go buy real estate. It's educate yourself in these 4 pillars so you can identify and acquire the right assets.
Correct. It's about becoming a sophisticated investor, not just a gambler throwing money at things.
That leads us to layer 3 of the framework, managing risk, or as Kiyosaki calls it, the Texas attitude.
I love this part. He says, I like Texans. In Texas, everything is bigger. When they win big. And when they lose, it's spectacular.
If you're going to go broke, go big.
Right. But the point isn't to actually go broke. The point is the attitude you have towards failure. Most people play not to lose.
They just play defense all the time.
They're terrified of losing money. So they keep it all in a savings account earning, 0.1%, where it's guaranteed to lose value to inflation every single year. That's playing not to lose. It's the safe route that guarantees a slow death of your purchasing power.
And the rich dad attitude.
Winning means being unafraid to lose. He says, don't go broke over a duplex. The point is, if you take a calculated risk and you lose, you learn something. Failure inspires winners. It absolutely defeats losers.
That is a huge psychological shift.
Yeah.
If you have no guts, you just give up every time life pushes you. And life will push you. It's guaranteed.
It's the difference between asking, what if I lose, and asking, how do I manage the risk so that if I lose, I can recover, but if I win, I'm free. It's all about finding those asymmetric bets.
Okay, so we have the framework. Mind your own business, build your financial IQ, adopt the Texas attitude.
Yeah.
And I want to get really tactical. Kiyosaki is very, very big on language. He believes that the words you use literally shape your reality.
Absolutely. The poor mind speaks a different language than the rich mind. The words you use literally program your brain to look for specific things in the world.
So let's do some scripts, some verbal switches. I'll give you the poor dad phrase and you give me the rich dad switch and maybe explain why it matters so much.
Let's do it. Fire away.
Okay, script number 1, The poor dad constantly says, I can't afford it.
The rich dad asks the question, how can I afford it?
Why is that simple switch so important?
Because I can't afford it is a statement. It's a period at the end of a sentence. It closes the mind. It lets you off the hook. You stop thinking. You can go back to watching TV. But how can I afford it is a question. It forces your brain to actually work. It opens up possibilities. Maybe you can't afford it right now with your cash, but is there a way? Can you generate a new asset that pays for it? It forces creativity.
I love that. Okay, script number 2. Poor dad says, I work for money.
Rich dad says, money works for me. And this is the fundamental shift from being an employee to being an investor. You have to stop viewing your personal labor as the only source of income. You are the architect. Your dollars are the construction crew.
Okay, script number 3. Poor dad says, my house is my biggest investment.
Rich dad asks the simple question, does this put money in my pocket or take it out? We've covered this one, but you have to be absolutely ruthless with your personal valuation. Stop calling liabilities assets just because they're expensive. It just clouds your judgment.
Script number 4. Poor dad says, I want a secure job.
The rich dad says, I work to learn, not to earn.
This one is really interesting. Work to learn.
Yes. Kiyosaki says job security is a complete illusion. One merger, one AI breakthrough, and you're redundant. The only real security is your skills. He actually recommends taking jobs not for the paycheck, but for what they can teach you.
Like what?
Sales, marketing, accounting, negotiation. If you learn the core skills of business and investing, you are secure forever because you can create your own income no matter what the economy does.
Okay, script number 5. Poor dad says, the economy is bad, my boss is cheap, the government is the problem.
Ah, yes, the blame switch. The rich dad says, if I'm the problem, then I can change myself.
Taking radical responsibility for your situation.
Look, if you blame the economy, you have to wait for the economy to change, and you might be waiting a very long time. If you blame yourself, you can learn, you can adapt, you can grow. It gives you the control back.
Last one. Script number 6. The poor dad says, I'll pay my bills, then I'll save whatever's left.
And we all know what's left at the end of the month. Nothing.
Exactly. So the rich dad says,
I pay myself first.
okay, this is probably the hardest piece of practical advice in the entire book, and it leads us right into our mini case. Because this sounds great in theory. Pay yourself first. Put money into the asset column before you pay the electric bill.
Right. It sounds simple.
But let's play out the friction. Pragmatic operator hat on. Let's say you have $3,000 coming in this month, but you have $3,500 in bills. And Kiyosaki is telling you to take $500 off the top and put it into an investment account. That sounds insane.
It sounds completely irresponsible, and for the poor dad mindset, it's terrifying. The poor dad pays the bill collectors first because he's afraid of them. He doesn't want the phone calls. He doesn't want the hit to his credit score. He wants to avoid the shame.
So how does the rich dad justify this? What's the logic?
It's psychological judo, he says. Pay the asset column first. Okay, now you're short. You don't have enough money for the bill collector.
So now the creditors are screaming at you, the pressure is on.
Exactly, the pressure is on. And Kiyosaki says, use that pressure.
Use the pressure. What does that even mean?
Yes, think about it. If you pay yourself last, there is zero pressure. You just end up with zero savings. You shrug and say, oh, well, maybe next month. And you never get rich. You just stay comfortable in your quiet poverty.
But if you pay yourself first,
now you have a real problem. The tax man is knocking. The bank is calling. That pressure forces you to think. It forces your financial genius to finally kick in. You have to go out and hustle. You have to find a new deal. You have to sell something. You have to create value. You can't just sit on the couch and hope for the best.
So you're basically forcing yourself into a corner where the only way out is to generate more income.
It's financial weightlifting. If you only ever lift light weights, which is paying yourself last, you never get strong. But if you put a heavy weight on the bar, paying yourself first, you struggle, you sweat, but you get stronger. You build the muscle of income generation.
Now, we should probably add a pretty big caveat here.
Yes, huge caveat. This is not about just ignoring your debts and recklessly going bankrupt. It's about not dipping into your savings, your precious asset seed capital, to pay for your consumption. It's about using the threat of the creditors to motivate you to expand your means rather than just constantly trying to shrink your lifestyle.
It creates a necessity for higher income.
Exactly. It changes the internal dialogue to, I have to make an extra $1,000 this week because I already moved my capital into my investment account. It turns you into a hustler in the best possible sense of the word.
It's just fascinating. It takes a fear that usually paralyzes people and it turns it into fuel.
That is the absolute essence of the rich dad philosophy. It's not about removing fear, it's about manipulating fear so that it works for you, not against you.
So we've covered the trap, the framework, the scripts, and the psychology of pressure. Let's bring this all home. What does the listener actually do now? What are the takeaways?
Okay, we have 3 specific actions to take immediately.
Action number 1, stop doing what isn't working.
It sounds so obvious, but it's the hardest thing to do. If you are digging a hole, the first step is to stop digging. Take a break to assess. If you're just working harder and harder to buy more liabilities, just stop. You need a pattern interrupt. Sit down, look at your bank statement. What are you actually doing with your money?
Action number 2, audit your circle.
This is crucial. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Kiyosaki calls the negative people in your life chicken littles. They're always screaming, the sky is falling, investing is too risky, don't do it.
If all your friends are terrified of money and risk, you will be too.
You have to find people who are playing the game that you want to play. And even if that's just listening to podcasts like this one or reading books for people who've done it, you have to change the input. Stop taking financial advice from people who are just as broke as you are.
And action number 3, make offers.
This is for all the people who say, well, I can't find any good deals. Kiyosaki says you have to be in the market to find the deals. You have to be making offers. Most of them are going to be rejected.
You mentioned Colonel Sanders, right?
Yes, Colonel Sanders was rejected 1,009 times before someone finally said yes to his fried chicken recipe. You have to get comfortable with rejection. Action beats inaction every single time. You have to be out there looking at properties, looking at businesses, writing proposals. You can't analyze a deal you never even looked at.
And we have one metric to track.
Mm-hmm.
If you throw away all the vanity metrics, net worth, salary, what is the one number that should be on your dashboard?
The wealth ratio.
Define that for us one more time.
It's your monthly cash flow from assets divided by your total monthly expenses.
So if my assets, my stocks, my rental properties, bring in $500 a month and my total expenses are $5,000.
Your ratio is 0.1. You are 10% free.
And the goal?
The goal is 1.0 or greater. The moment that number hits 1.0, the moment your assets pay for your entire life, you are infinitely wealthy. You have bought your time back. You are free. You never have to work another day in your life unless you truly want to.
That is the target. It's not a dollar amount in the bank. It's a ratio on the monthly scorecard.
Exactly. It clarifies the entire game.
This has been a heavy one, but a really important one. We started with the golden hamster, spinning his wheels, terrified of stopping. And we're ending with, well, a roadmap to get off that wheel entirely.
It requires a completely different way of thinking about money. It's uncomfortable. It requires you to unlearn almost everything that school taught us. But the view from the other side is absolutely worth it.
I want to leave the listeners with a final reflective thought from the source material. Kiyosaki says, the single most powerful asset we all have is our mind. If it is trained well, it can create enormous wealth.
And my favorite line to close on, don't work for money, make it work for you.
Thanks for diving deep with us. Go check your asset column. We'll see you next time.